always, hi, everybody. Sorry about that. Hi. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is your girl, Carla Renata, aka the Curvy Critic, and you have tuned into the Curvy Critic with Carla Renata here on YouTube. Happy Valentine's Day! Yay! For those of you booed up, I hope you had lots of chocolate and love bestowed upon you. And for those who didn't have a boo, well, I hope you had a good day too, because I know I sure did. Anywho, if this is your first time joining me, please give me a big old thumbs up to let me know that you were here. And this is what we do. I talk about films and people above and below the line in the film industry. I have an interview today for you guys with Miss Lena, the director of Flora and Ulysses. Can't wait to show that one to you. I loved this movie so much, but I won't be able to review it until next week because it is still under embargo. But I have that for you. And then I'm going to go through a list of all my favorite Valentine's films because it's Valentine's Day. I hardly ever have a show that actually falls on Valentine's Day. So let me just acknowledge that. And hi, Brandon. Good to see you in the chat room as always. I'm sure Michael B will be here shortly. He always is here giving his support and love to his sister. So, and I always appreciate that. So let's get into it. I did and as usual, I always talk about what I did the week before I get into the films and everything. So what I did this week was I did a little rom-com, I guess one of my favorite rom-com, and it was like a 20-second situation that I did for Fox 11 LA, for Good Day LA. My girl Amanda Salas, myself, Gray Drake, and Nikki Novak, we did a short little piece. So you can go over to Fox 11 LA and see that there. It's about, I think it's probably like a 30-second piece, maybe a minute long, but it's a lot of fun. So go check that out over there. I also had dinner with it was Black Restaurants Week. So Judas and the Black Messiah, in connection with Warner Brothers, had us all they gave us a dinner. They sent a dinner over to us and a drink and everything. And we learned how to make this cocktail. We had a soul food dinner from Harold and Bell's. It was really wonderful. And we had a great conversation in accordance to that. I also did this, y'all. This was the culmination of my entire week. I had an opportunity to interview Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall in conjunction with Amazon Prime Video's sequel of Coming to America called Coming the Numeral 2 America. And we had some fun conversations. I spoke with Eddie. I spoke with Arsenio. I spoke with Tracy Morgan. I spoke with Eddie's daughter, Bella, another young lady, Kylie, and I spoke with Nanzamo and Jermaine Fowler. So we're going to do a whole Coming to America day when that rolls around, because I just can't be splitting Coming to America with other stuff. That's just that. But that's what I did last week. This week, we're going back into Superstore for some more stuff. And Superstore, we finally got our finale date. It is on March 5th. So our finale date on NBC for Superstore season 6 is on March 5th. I hope you guys take the opportunity and the time to tune into that. So let's get into these movies that I love so very much. My first movie that I love that's a rom-com is one of my all-time favorites. It's called Love Jones. And this is a movie that back in the day, it was everything. It infused spoken word, it infused hip hop, it infused jazz, and it was everything. It just passed the 20-year milestone mark, I believe. And I was at the director, I think, what was it? No, it was I think it was the Producers Guild of America. They had a big anniversary screening where they had the whole cast, which is from that picture that you just saw. And they all reminisced about, what it was like to make that movie, if it was as influential on them as it was for those of us that love it. It was really great. It basically is a love story that deals with these two characters, Darius, played by Lorenz Tate, and Nina, played by Nia Long. And Nina is a photographer, and I'm not really quite sure what Lorenz Tate's job was in this movie, to tell you the truth, but I know Nina was a photographer. They meet by happenstance at a record store and they fall in love. But, like any rom-com, there's always some obstacles in the way. But this is the thing that's important about Love Jones. Lorenz Tate and Nia Long were new up and coming Black African American actors and actresses at the time, and they now become huge stars. It also starred Bill Bellamy, Lisa Nicole Carson was in it, Isaiah Washington was in it. All of these young Black budding people were in it at the time that nobody knew, but now everybody knows them. And it was a beautiful, beautiful love story. But I love the fact that they infused spoken word, because spoken word was something that was up and coming at the time. There were a lot of spoken word cafes in New York City. And, people would go, and instead of clapping with applause, people would do the snaps and claps kind of thing. It was very neo soul and very cool. But I love Jones for that reason. And it had a score that was infused by music from Wyclef Jean. So it's really one of my favorites. If nothing else, y'all can get the soundtrack, because the soundtrack from Love Jones is everything. My next film that I love is Made in Manhattan, because come on, Jennifer Lopez and rom-coms, it's like they go hand in hand. Between Made in Manhattan and The Wedding Planner, you can't go wrong. I love this one because in this film, she played a woman who was literally a maid at a really high-class 5-star hotel, who meets this diplomat, and they fall in love. And there's something that goes on in some of these rom-coms where they try to say that, if you come from this side of the tracks, you can't fall in love with somebody on this side of the tracks. And that's just so not true. But it starred Ralph Fiennes and Jennifer Lopez. And I really loved it. There is a scene, and I loved it for this reason too. I was in a Broadway musical called The Life at the time. And one of my co-workers, Sharon Wilkinson, was in there. So she was in there. She was doing her thing. She's the heavyset Black woman that when they go, I'm coming out, and they're dancing down in the basement, she is tearing it up. But she was really good in that film. And this film it was just a feel good movie. And Jennifer Lopez's rom-coms always start with her being a strong woman, and they always end with her being a strong woman. She's never a victim, which is why I really love her in her rom-coms. So there's that. The Wedding Planner is one of my favorites of hers because it also had a milestone anniversary. It's celebrated over 20 years, and she stars with Matthew McConaughey in this one. And I love this one just because of the fact that, yet again, she is a strong woman, but it shows that sometimes, when life wants you to marry somebody else, your heart tells you that you need to be with this other person. She falls in love. She had this boyfriend from like when she was a little kid, Maximo, and her parents, it was like an arranged marriage. They had expected her to marry Maximo, but she wasn't in love with Maximo. She was in love with Matthew McConaughey's character. And it was just, there's a scene in that movie where she gets a little tipsy because she finds out that the guy that broke up with her last is getting married, and they're having a baby, and it kind of just sent her over the edge, and she was not having it. But I love that movie. I just love Jennifer Lopez in rom-coms, and she has a new one coming out that has not been without its drama. She has one coming out that was supposed to star Armie Hammond, but due to some social media posts and some shenanigans that he had going on, he's no longer attached to the project, and they have replaced him. So we'll see what happens with this movie when it comes out. But for right now, I'm giving my thumbs up and all kudos to The Wedding Planner and Made in Manhattan because I love them. Hi, Michael B. And hi, Scott Hain. It's nice to see y'all. Next up in my little queue of things that I love and adore is this Eddie Murphy movie. I got to talk about Eddie Murphy today. It's like an Eddie Murphy kind of jam. This movie called Boomerang, it is my all-time favorite movie. Boomerang is hilarious for a variety of reasons, but it's, again, for the soundtrack. Most of these rom-coms that I love have these banging soundtracks, but this movie starred Eddie Murphy, Halle Berry, and Robin Givens. And it was like, it was a story about this guy who worked at an ad agency. All three of them worked at this ad agency, and his Eddie Murphy's character was known for being a ladies' man. Like, he was like, love him, drop him, and leave him. But he ends up falling in love. He thinks he's in love with this one woman and finds out that he's really in love with the other one. He thinks he's in love with Robin Givens because she's strong and she's powerful, and he sees her as a powerful couple. She's got pretty feet. He's got this thing about feet, but he ends up really falling in love with Halle Berry because he loved her heart. Grace Jones in that movie was hysterical. There is a scene of the picture that we just showed where she is in the boardroom and they're trying to come up with a name for her fragrance. And she literally takes off her thong and they throw it around the room. When I tell you, there is one funny scene after another. The late John Witherspoon is in there. There's this whole thing that he has where he has on a mushroom belt, a mushroom jacket with a mushroom lining. They eating chitlins at dinner. Him and his wife are in the bathroom hitting it during the dinner. Like, it's just pure comedy, but it's romantic. And I know that doesn't sound romantic, but it really is romantic. It's one of my favorite movies. They show it on TV all the time. But again, it stars Eddie Murphy, Grace Jones, Halle Berry, Robin Givens, Jeffrey Holder, the late great Jeffrey Holder. There's so many. Martin Lawrence is in this movie. David Alan Grier is in this movie. And it was just a lot of fun. I loved it very much. Next up is Hitch. I love Will Smith, and I wish that Will Smith did more romantic comedies. I know a lot of people love him in the action adventure lane, but I kind of love him in rom-coms. And this one in particular, I really loved him. He played a under the radar matchmaker who ends up falling in love with this reporter who's trying to out him. Right? She's trying to find out who he is so she can put him on blast because supposedly he hooked her friend up with somebody who was just a DOGG, just wrong. And she wanted to write a story about it, but it ends up going sideways. They end up falling in love. Eva Mendes plays his romantic lead in this film. And she was all the black men, all the good looking black men. She was everybody's leading lady for a minute. She played Denzel Washington's leading lady in Training Day, and she played Will Smith's leading lady here in Hitch. It was a really funny film. It kind of flies under the radar. A lot of people have forgotten about it or don't really pay it too much attention, but I really, really loved it. Next up on my queue is a little film called Brown Sugar. Now, I loved Brown Sugar because it takes the hip hop situation and brings it into the rom-com situation, right? So Sanaa Lathan and Taye Diggs star as these two music executives in different lanes. Sanaa Lathan is a music executive from a magazine point of view, and Taye Diggs is a music executive from a label point of view. He's working at this label, and in this picture that you see right there with Nicole Ari Parker, it's hilarious because that group, the white guy and the black guy, it's like a running gag throughout the whole movie. They are trying to get a record deal, and they will do it by any means necessary. At one point, they called themselves the Hip Hop Dalmatians and ended up getting a deal with some busted hip hop version of The Girl Is Mine by Michael Jackson. Child, I laughed so hard when I saw that film. But I love this to note the fact that Nicole Ari Parker and Boris Kodjoe are in this film together, but they're not romantically linked in the film. Nicole is linked to Taye Diggs and Boris is linked to Sanaa Lathan. I love that aspect of the film. I also love the fact that Queen Latifah is in this film and that Mos Def has like a little crush on her. So I love the fact that he was like, he's a little bitty thing, but he was like, I want to hook up with the curvy girl. I kind of loved him for that. And I also love the fact that they showed that love is not perfect. And the people that you think again, a recurring thing, the people that you think you should be with aren't always the people that you end up with. So it was kind of great from that perspective. Another Sanaa Lathan favorite that I love, that also celebrated a milestone anniversary is Love and Basketball. It's written by Gina Prince Blythewood. And it stars Sanaa Lathan and Omar Epps. Now, they were dating when they were reading to audition for this movie. By the time they started filming, they were no longer dating, but they used that energy and that connection to make it work really well for the film. And it was I think this was the first time that Alfre Woodard played Sanaa Lathan's mom. She played her mom again in a Tyler Perry movie. But I love this picture of them. Don't they look cute? Young black love. I love it. But Yeah, Love and Basketball. It was everything. And again, a great soundtrack to boot. Now, when Harold Paranol was here with me, my friend Harold Paranol, we talked a little bit about The Best Man, which is one of my favorite rom-coms, and The Best Man Holiday. Well, y'all, we don't have to be without The Best Man or The Best Man Holiday anymore, because it is now being made into a TV series with, yes, most of the original cast. The only person that will not be involved is Monica Calhoun, because her character was killed off in The Best Man Holiday. But yes, I was all about that. Michael B, you said it's something new, a Tyler Perry movie. No, Something New is not a Tyler Perry movie. That's a movie produced by another entity. But yeah, this Tyler Perry movie that I'm talking about was with Sanaa Lathan and Alfre Woodard and Regina Hall. Was it Regina Hall? Yeah, I think Regina Hall played her sister again. But anyway, this is one of my favorite scenes from Best Man Holiday, where they do one of those new edition joints. It's one of those things where you see all of these beautiful Black people with professional jobs. They're not thugs. They're not hood rats. They're not any of that. They are just professional, really good looking, smart, intelligent, affluential Black people in a film. And a little bit, a tidbit about The Best Man. When The Best Man was made the first time, it did better than anybody thought it was going to do. It was produced and written and directed by Malcolm D. Lee, who is the cousin of Spike Lee, right? So then it was so popular that people had been asking for decades, oh, is there going to be a sequel? Is there going to be a sequel? Is there going to be a sequel? Finally, there was a sequel, and the studio would not sign off the green light the sequel unless they did a table read for it, which at that time was unprecedented and unheard of. Well, everybody got together. They checked their egos at the door. They got together. They did the table read, and Best Man Holiday outperformed The Best Man at the box office. It was the number one film for weeks when it hit the theaters that particular year. So that old adage about how Black films don't sell overseas or they don't perform well overseas, The Best Man Holiday and the Black Panther franchise shattered that myth to pieces. Yes, yes, yes. So I love those films. Now for my classics, these are my classics. The Goodbye Girl. Now, TCM, Turner Classic Movies, has been doing a whole Valentine's thing all weekend, right? And they showed The Goodbye Girl last night. I love this film for two reasons: Marsha Mason and Richard Dreyfuss. Marsha Mason is a Missouri girl like me, and Richard Dreyfuss he's Richard Dreyfuss. But I believe he won the Academy Award for this film, making him the youngest person to win in the Best Actor category. He was 30 years old at the time when he won the Oscar for The Goodbye Girl. And everything in his toolbox of acting, the comedy, the romanticism, the drama, the best way to describe him in this movie is through one of the lines that Lucy, Marsha Mason's daughter, says. He's like a dog that nobody wants. That's the best way to describe his character in this film. It was everything. And this film was a little different because you had this woman, Paula, played by Marsha Mason, who was an ex-dancer who kept giving up her dreams and her life for a man, only for them to dump her or leave her, right? And so the last guy before Richard Dreyfuss left, saying that he was going to California, but then he ended up getting he was an actor. He ended up getting another gig, took him out of the country, and he kind of dumped her. But before he dumped her, he sublet the apartment. How dirty is that? He sublet the apartment, and Richard Dreyfuss was the person that was coming to sublet the apartment. All of that makes for a really interesting film. It was written by Neil Simon. It was one of the many Neil Simon rom-coms that came out in the 70s and 80s. If you have not seen The Goodbye Girl, you need to put it on your list to see. It's a beautiful love story, and it's hilariously funny. And of course, no one ever really looks at Guess Who's Coming to Dinner as a rom-com, but it kind of is. It's a social commentary film. It's a rom-com. It engulfs all of these things all at one time, mostly for the things that were happening off the screen, because there's a lot of people that follow any kind of Hollywood tidbits and info. Everyone knows that Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy were in love with each other for years, but because of Spencer Tracy's religion, he was Catholic, he would not divorce his wife to marry Katharine Hepburn. This was the last film that they did together. Tracy died shortly after they finished shooting this film. And the scenes with them are just heartbreaking because you can see tears welling up in her eyes when she sees him speak, because he had cancer as they were shooting this film. He was sick when they were shooting this film. Everybody knew it. They were hoping, against hope, that he would at least be able to see himself be honored, but that sadly did not come to fruition. He did pass away before the film was honored at the Academy Awards, which culminated in Sidney Poitier winning his first Oscar. So yeah, that is it. So I'll just recap my films that I love, 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 love. So the first one I said was Love Jones. Then I went to Made in Manhattan. Then I went to, I believe after Made Manhattan, I went to The Wedding Planner because I did my Jennifer Lopez things back to back. Then I talked about Boomerang, Hitch, Brown Sugar, Love and Basketball, The Best Man, and The Best Man Holiday, and my classic rom-coms, The Goodbye Girl, and Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. So if you guys have not checked those out after you done had your Valentine's Day dinner and cocktail, you can grab a blanket, grab a nice little fluffy pillow, curl up with your boo, or curl up with your pillow, or curl up with your doggy, whatever you have to curl up with, and just watch one of these movies or all of them. We got nothing but time. We in a pandemic, but you will enjoy them. I promise you. Some of them are old, some of them are new, but you will enjoy them nonetheless. All right. So I did an interview with Lena Khan, who is the director of Flora and Ulysses. Flora and Ulysses is a film about a superhero squirrel. And that is all I can tell you for right now, because the film is still under embargo. But we did this interview where we talked about squirrels. We talked about so many things, but I love Miss Lena and I want to share the interview with you. So take a look and a listen to this interview with Miss Lena Khan, the director of Flora and Ulysses.
Hi, love your background.
Thank you, girl. I love it too.
Nice.
Thank you so much. Listen, I love Flora and Ulysses. It brought me so much joy, and living in the time that we're living in, you need to laugh and have something give you a smile every once in a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you for that. Do you have any Easter egg moments that they could kind of look out for? Those fans that would be delighted to know, ooh, I could look for this in the film.
Oh, definitely. You will find things that have to do with all of our actors. You'll find things from their previous movies, as well as Kate's previous books all through the movie. You'll find a lot of comic references, whether it's stuff that Ulysses does, music references, and in Comic Cave especially, I mean, there's too many to even count. Whether it's things on the walls, like the giant penny that was in the Batcave, or some more obscure ones, a savvy comic book fan will be able to pick up quite a few of them.
All right. What was it like for you as a female filmmaker to be able to play in the magic of Disney for this film?
But it was so amazing. They were really supportive of my vision for it. I said I wanted to make it look like a live action Pixar movie. I want to gear it toward adults as much as children. And I want it to be not just about a family getting together, but about broken people and figuring out how they can see the world new again. And they were very supportive about that. They would challenge me a lot of times, and we'd have a lot of fights and a lot of debates. But I think it made the project better at the end. And it was so we were doing post-production in the middle of the pandemic. So having a giant monolith like Disney, who brings so many stories to so many families, we just made us work so much harder, because we're like, this is a story that people could really use right now. And so we really need to deliver.
You did deliver. And I know that you auditioned more than 1,000 girls to play Flora. What was it about Matilda that made you go, yep, she's the one?
Yeah, I mean, I give credit to Emily Schwaber, our casting director, who first found her. Somebody, and Matilda has it, who's mature beyond her years. I would work with Matilda only as an adult actor. I would not treat her like a kid, and she wouldn't have it if I did treat her as a kid. And she's so kind and mature, but also she can show vulnerability. She listens, which is the best thing an actor can do, and she can do humor, which is really big. We were having trouble finding somebody who could do that sort of dry, sometimes adult comedy. Adult meaning just sort of witty and smart. And she was able to pull all of those off. I think she's going to win an Oscar one day.
Yeah, I agree with that. She has really perfect comic timing, and she knows really well how to use that acerbic tone of voice to
Mhm.
get the laugh without having an audience there to hear it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's so apt. Yeah.
Yeah, I peeped that about my girl. I peeped it. I peeped it. We have Chloe Zhao for Nomadland, Regina King for One Night in Miami, and Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman. As a female filmmaker, Miss Lena, how is all of that resonating with you, and how hopeful does that make you that the industry will not continue to make female filmmakers monolithic and marginalized?
It's just so exciting to see the sort of opportunities we might have, because I think we like I said, we can deliver. Like, and especially a lot of filmmaking is putting all your soul into something and being able to keep either your wit or your whatever it is amidst 5,000 obstacles happening. And I was like, if anybody knows how to do that, it's women. Especially, you know, the not especially women's the mothers are a subset of that. Like, I was like, if everybody knows how to tackle 100 obstacles, it's women, it's moms, it's any people in that group. And so to see us actually getting to like fly is super cool, and like not getting limited by the types of stories we can tell.
What is something that you're looking forward to working on in the future? What would be an ideal future project for you to direct?
I have a pet project that I am working on, which is sort of like based on an old folktale, but making it into this sort of like funny, smart, more fresher thing that kind of has some social implications, which always makes me exciting. Me excited. And then if there was, if Miss Marvel ever became a movie, that is my super exciting goal.
I love that. Lena, thank you so much for taking time out of your morning, evening, afternoon, wherever, whatever time is on your end to speak to me. I really appreciate it. I adore this film and I adore your filmmaking, and I'm looking forward to more projects from you in the future.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye now. Thank you, Miss Lena. Thank you again. So you guys, next week I will talk more about Flora and Ulysses, Flora and Ulysses, because, like I said, it's under embargo and I can't really discuss it now. I will also be talking about next week the United States versus Billie Holiday. I have an interview with Andra Day in reference to that. I will also be talking about Cherry. You guys, Judas and the Black Messiah is available in theaters right now. And so if you haven't had an opportunity to see that, please check that out. I had an interview here with Shaka King last week. If you haven't seen that, go over to the Curvy Film Critic on my YouTube channel and check that interview out there. And of course, you know, when the beginning of March hits, which is just in a couple of weeks, it's going to be Coming to America Day, and I will be posting all about it. You know that I will. So yeah, I think that does it for this edition of the Curvy Film Critic with Carla Renata. If this is your first time joining me, please give me a big thumbs up to let me know that you were here. Click that bell for notifications so that you can be apprised of when we go live, when we have shows that are taped or otherwise. Go to the YouTube channel and check out the one-on-one interviews, past episodes of the Curvy Critic with Carla Renata, and junket interviews. There's a plethora of them, and it'll keep you busy for hours and hours and hours, I promise you. So thank you so much for tuning in and joining me. This is your girl, Carla Renata, aka the Curvy Film Critic. Wash your hands, stay safe, and I will see you on the flip side. Deuces.